Have you ever wondered why someone with every reason to chase power and success would walk away from it all? Almost as if the world was too small for the question burning inside them. And have you ever felt that quiet pressure in your own chest? The sense that you are living a life that looks fine, yet something deeper is still unaddressed. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are stepping into the life and spirit of Aurobindo, a figure many people describe as one of the greatest modern mystics. But I do not want to treat him like a museum exhibit or a distant legend. I want to bring his story close enough that you can feel why it matters to your own mind, your own suffering, your own ambition, your own relationships, and your own destiny. Because the real point of a mystic story is not to admire an extraordinary person. The real point is to ask what in you is still asleep, what in you is still clinging, and what in you is ready to wake up. The first big idea we will carry today is that awakening is not only a private experience, it is a reshaping of the whole life direction. When wisdom becomes real, it changes what you want, what you fear, and what you are willing to sacrifice. The second big idea is that destiny is not just what happens to you. Destiny is what you become through practice, intention, and the courage to face truth without bargaining. Now imagine a young man growing up with a mind sharp enough to slice through problems the way a blade cuts through cloth. A mind that can learn languages, absorb ideas, and outshine peers. A mind that can fit into elite systems and win. That kind of talent usually becomes a passport to conventional success. And for many people, that is the whole dream. But for some, that very talent becomes a doorway to deeper dissatisfaction. Because intelligence can succeed at many things, yet still fail at answering the one question that keeps returning like a drumbeat at night. Who am I beneath all these roles? And what is the purpose of being alive if everything I build will one day change, decay, and disappear? Aurobindo lived in a time and context where political struggle, cultural change, and the search for national identity were intense. There were pressures from society and history, the kind of pressures that can grab a human being and turn them into a symbol. Many people meet those pressures with anger, with ambition, with the desire to dominate. But the deeper story is that Aurobindo was not only moving through outer history, he was moving through an inner revolution. Let me tell it in a story form that makes the arc clearer. Picture him as a young man who can move in intellectual circles easily. He can speak, write, debate, organize. He can participate in serious political life. He can influence. He can be respected. And, for a while, he is in that current. He is in the world of strategy and action and public consequence. But even when the outer mission feels righteous, there is still the inner question. Because activism without inner clarity can become another form of ego. It can become a hidden addiction to conflict. It can become the mind feeding on the heat of struggle as proof of meaning. Then comes a turning point, the kind that appears again and again in the lives of people who awaken. Life corners them. It confronts them with a limit. Sometimes the limit is illness. Sometimes it is loss. Sometimes it is failure. Sometimes it is a threat. In Aurobindo life story, the details involve intense pressure and confinement, the kind of situation that strips away normal distractions. And here is the paradox. Confinement that would crush one person can become liberation for another, not because confinement is good, but because it forces the mind to face itself. When you cannot escape outwardly, you either fall into despair or you turn inward and discover a different kind of space. Imagine being alone with your mind for long stretches of time. At first, the mind panics. its virtues for stimulation. It replays fears. It invents threats. It negotiates. It rages. It mourns. It tries to regain control. But if you keep sitting with it, if you keep watching, something begins to happen. The mind starts showing you its true machinery. You see how thoughts arise without permission. You see how emotions surge based on stories. You see how identity is built from clinging to roles. You see how suffering multiplies when you demand certainty from an impermanent world. This is where Buddhist wisdom and mystic wisdom converge. The prison is not only the walls. The prison it is clinging. The prison is ignorance. The prison is the belief that peace requires the world to obey your preferences. So what happens in that inner confrontation is not a simple mood shift. It is a reorientation. Many spiritual traditions describe it in different language, but the essence is the same. A deeper awareness becomes obvious, and the old identity starts losing its authority. In Buddhist terms, you could say the grip of the constructed self weakens. The mind begins to see impermanence not as an abstract idea, but as a living fact. The craving for control becomes visible. The aversion to pain becomes visible. The endless hunger for validation becomes visible. And when these become visible, they become workable. This is a critical point. You do not defeat suffering by arguing with it. You weaken suffering by seeing it clearly, unstarving it of fuel. Now imagine Aurobindo stepping out of outer struggle and into a deliberate inner path, not as an escape from responsibility, but as a deeper form of responsibility. Because if you want to change the world, but you do not understand the mind, you will reproduce the same violence in new costumes. If you want to create a better society, but your heart is still ruled by hatred, pride, and fear, then your outer work will carry those poisons. So he turns toward practice, not practice as a hobby, practice as a life axis. Here is where many people misunderstand mystics. They think mystics are people who withdraw because they cannot handle life. Sometimes that happens, sure, but the deeper mystic movement is often the opposite. It is the choice to handle life at the root, at the level of consciousness, at the level of intention, at the level of karma. Karma here is not a spooky concept. It is cause and effect in the mind and the heart. If you plant agitation, you harvest agitation. If you plant compassion, you will harvest peace. If you plant ego, you harvest conflict. If you plant humility, you harvest clarity. This is the inner law that no government and no ideology can suspend. So the story continues with Aurobindo establishing a life devoted to inner transformation into a vision of human evolution that is not merely political or technological, but spiritual. Whether you agree with every detail of his philosophy is not the point. The point is the direction. He is pointing toward a truth many of us sense but rarely commit to. If the mind is not purified, progress becomes another kind of suffering. Now let me bring this down to the level of daily human experience, because this is where the teachings become real. Think about your own life for a second. How many decisions do you make because of fear of being judged? How many habits do you keep because you fear the discomfort of change? How many arguments do you enter because your ego wants to win rather than your heart wanting peace? How often do you chase success not because it is meaningful, but because it promises temporary relief from insecurity? This is not a moral accusation. This is a mirror, because once you see it, you can change it. That is destiny. Aurobindo's story, in the way it is often told by those inspired by him, carries a message that can sound intense but is actually practical. Your life can become a laboratory of awakening, not by escaping life, but by practicing inside it. What does that look like? It looks like noticing the exact moment anger is born, before it becomes speech that harms. It looks like feeling the sting of criticism without turning it into an identity crisis. It looks like experiencing desire without letting desire dictate your dignity. It looks like meeting uncertainty without outsourcing your peace to predictions. It looks like seeing impermanence and responding with gratitude rather than panic. It looks like using every difficulty as training, not as proof that life is against you. That is spiritual practice as lived reality. Now let us go back into the story tone again, because I want you to feel the emotional arc of why a person like Aurobindo matters. Imagine a visitor arriving to see him after he has withdrawn from public life. The visitor expects a dramatic guru, maybe someone who speaks in riddles and demands worship. Instead, the visitor encounters something quieter and more unsettling. A person who does not need your approval. A person whose attention is steady. A person who is not performing a spiritual identity. A person whose presence makes you notice your own restlessness. The visitor sits down and begins talking, dumping worries and questions. Money, relationships, fear of failure, fear of being left behind, fear of not being special. The visitor wants advice that will fix the surface, and the mystic does what real teachers often do. He points not to the surface but to the root. He invites the visitor to observe the mind, to see the pattern of craving and aversion, to see how identity is built from clinging, to see how the mind creates suffering by demanding permanence from changing conditions. This is where wisdom becomes sharp, because you realize you have been negotiating with reality instead of meeting it. The visitor might resist. The visitor might think, I came for help, not for philosophy. But then something changes. The visitor notices that even while talking, thoughts come and go. Emotions rise and fall. The visitor notices that the worry is not constant. It is waves. And behind the waves, there is a space that knows them. That space is the doorway to freedom. Whether you call it awareness, witness, pure mind, Buddha nature, or something else, the practical shift is the same. You stop being only the wave. You recognize the ocean. Now, let me connect this to compassion, because the risk of any strong inner path is becoming cold or arrogant. But the mark of real awakening is warmth without attachment, kindness without weakness, clarity without cruelty. Aurobindo kind of inner work, when understood in a healthy way, is not about becoming superior. It is about becoming more responsible for the quality of your consciousness. And when you become responsible in that way, you become less likely to harm others, because so much harm comes from unconsciousness. People hurt others when they are possessed by fear, by pride, by craving, by resentment. A practiced mind can feel those forces and refuse to obey them. That refusal is compassion in action. Now let us talk about destiny again, because this is one of the most powerful themes in any mystic biography. Many people think destiny is fixed, like a script. They ask, what am I meant to do? Who am I meant to be? When will things finally work out? But the more practical spiritual view is that destiny is shaped through causes. What you repeatedly choose becomes what you repeatedly are. What you repeatedly are becomes the life you repeatedly live. If you repeatedly choose distraction, your destiny is shallow restlessness. If you repeatedly choose honesty, your destiny is clarity. If you repeatedly choose resentment, your destiny is conflict. If you repeatedly choose forgiveness, your destiny is lightness. If you repeatedly choose compassion, your destiny is connection. If you repeatedly choose disciplined practice, your destiny is steadiness. So when a person like Aurobindo steps away from outer noise and commits to inner transformation, he is showing a radical truth. You can choose your causes. And when you choose causes long enough, effects change. Now I want to share a human reflection that often arises when people hear stories like this. Someone might say, "I cannot do that. I have responsibilities. I cannot withdraw. I cannot dedicate my life to spiritual practice." And here is the compassionate correction. You do not need to copy the outer shape of a mystic life. You only need to learn the inner lesson. The inner lesson is that practice is not something you do only when life is easy. Practice is what makes life workable when it is hard. You can practice in your room. You can practice on a bus. You can practice while washing dishes. You can practice when you are angry. You can practice when you are anxious. You can practice when you are tempted to lie. You can practice when you are tempted to be cruel. Practice is simply the moment you choose awareness over reaction. That is awakening in daily life. Now let me make this even more concrete with a small modern scene that mirrors the deeper teaching. A person is scrolling online. They see someone else's success. Jealousy appears. The mind says, "You are behind. You are not enough. You are losing." Old habit is to believe it. Then you either hate yourself or hate others. Either way, suffering grows. Practice is to notice it. Jealousy is here. Comparison is here. The mind is creating a story. Then you breathe. You return to your values. You ask, "What do I want to plant right now?" You plant gratitude for what you have. You plant discipline to improve if improvement is needed. You plant compassion instead of bitterness. That moment shapes destiny more than 1,000 fantasies. Or another scene. Someone disrespects you. Anger appears. The mind wants to strike back, to prove power. Old habit is reaction. You harm, then regret, then justify, then repeat. Practice is to witness the heat, feel the body, and choose response. Maybe you speak firmly. Maybe you set a boundary. But you do not poison the moment with hatred. You do not let ego drive the car. That is inner power. Now, since this channel always comes home to the same spiritual heart, let me tie it together clearly. Awakening is the shift from living unconsciously to living with clear seeing. Wisdom is knowing what leads to peace and what leads to suffering. Karma is the momentum of intention and habit shaping experience. Compassion is refusing to harden even when life gives you reasons to harden. Practice is the daily training that turns these truths into real life. Destiny is the pattern that emerges when you keep choosing the same inner direction. Aurobindo's story, in the way we are holding it today, is not only about a historical figure. It is about the possibility that your life can become deeper than your fears. Now, I want to end with the kind of closing that keeps the teaching alive rather than turning it into entertainment. I have seen people who were wrapped in anxiety for years, and what changed them was not a perfect external solution. What changed them was the willingness to observe their own mind and stop obeying every fearful thought. That is the beginning of the inner revolution. I have seen people who were wrapped in anger, and what changed them was not winning arguments. What changed them was learning that anger is a fire that burns the one holding it first, and choosing compassion without becoming weak. That is awakening. I have seen people who were wrapped in chasing success, and what changed them was realizing that no achievement can permanently satisfy the hunger of a mind that does not know how to rest. They learned to rest in awareness, and their life became more peaceful even while they still worked hard. That is wisdom. So if this story of Sri Aurobindo stirred something in you, let it stir you in the right direction. not toward idol worship, toward practice, toward clarity, toward a kinder heart, toward a life that is not owned by fear. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now I want to invite you to share your reflections. What is one part of your life where you feel pulled between outer ambition and inner truth? And what is one small practice you can commit to this week to move toward more clarity and compassion? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and support this space by sharing your experience so we can keep exploring awakening, wisdom, karma, compassion, practice, and destiny together. Until next time, keep returning to what is real. And remember that the greatest revolution is the one that happens inside your own mind.